Hello, pirate crew and friends. Welcome to the Cinemondo podcast. We're talking about One Piece. We have it's so sad. Only two more episodes.
It was way too short.
I know and I'm happy that evidently they've gotten renewed for a second season, and hoping maybe more seasons, maybe 10,000 more seasons to accommodate all the anime episodes.
That's true. That's very
true.
But
yeah, it was so. I mean, this is one of those shows that I was watching, and it's like there's only 8 episodes, and I'm on episode 7 now. It's like there's only one more. It really got me that I don't want to leave this world.
I did not want to leave, and they did such a great job of making that feel rich and well produced and elegant. It didn't feel cheap, or they didn't cut corners. You could tell they really cared about the show and the material. So that comes across when you're really not just throwing it out there. Really, really, and I love the music. Music was so good. And they really spent some extra time on the music. In this episode especially, they have that specific song for Nami that's sung by a Norwegian singer, I believe. It was beautiful. They just went the extra.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, it brings it into, because that happens a lot in anime. You get music that has a pop song kind of a vibe to it. Yeah. And it really does. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't cheesy. It wasn't like some cheesy song that kind of ruined the mood, because sometimes a song will come in and you're like, ooh, I hate that song. It's so cheesy and cloying,
Love the music.
But the music is great, and the feeling of it is great. And of course the cast, we always talk about how great the cast is.
Yep.
This is a great example of world building, where you build an artificial world that does not exist. It resembles our world in some ways. Yeah. But in other ways, it's so radically different from our world. This is like an ocean world where kids become pirates, and there's
monsters are running around.
Yeah.
Fishermen. Oh, I wanted to also point out, I have our pirate flag that you designed.
Cool.
I made a shirt.
Oh, nice.
We made a shirt out of it. If you look in the little product link, you can buy your own Cinemondo pirate shirt, which I think is pretty damn cool.
Sweet.
It looks just like us. I mean, we look exactly like
you're automatically a member of the Cinemondo Pirates.
You get to be part of our crew. I'm not part of your crew.
Just by buying a t-shirt. That's all you have to do.
Exactly. And then while you're here, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. We love to hear from you guys. We don't want you to miss anything. And we're continuing our anime arc review, which is the next one's going to be Arlong, which is actually Arlong Park, which is actually sort of where this ended. So we've already seen it, but we just need to review it. So we're going to be putting that up after. As soon as you see our last episode, the next thing you're going to see is going to be Arlong Park. So we're getting to it. We're working on it right now, and you'll see it soon.
Yeah, and it's like it's where I feel like in the story, this is where it gets kind of real. You know what I mean? Everything kind of gets a little bit scary. I mean, there's been moments before where people get beat up almost to death or slashed up, but it has a kind of a there's a vibe to it that makes me think, Zoro's going to be okay. He'll be all right. And you don't really worry. But now you get into this world of this sort of underworld of crime and all the collusion with the Marines and all that stuff. And it's starting to get a little bit heavy. And I think what I like is that the characters seem to be becoming aware of it, that they're realizing things about their friend Nami here, that, she's not just this happy-go-lucky thief, kind of funny, like, oh, I steal things. She's not just this sort of one-dimensional stealer girl, she's got this backstory that's heartbreaking, and when you see that,
probably the saddest thing in it really is her backstory. Just God.
And the fact that she has to sacrifice her own dignity and all that kind of stuff, and sacrifice her life, her life to try to restore something that she's like giving everything she has to try to bring something back, that whole childhood the beauty of childhood, and they depict her childhood as this idyllic thing running through the tangerine trees and all that,
Mhm.
and then suddenly
With
that's
that beautiful song playing.
yeah, and that all
Yeah.
gets taken away, and
Yeah.
her life goal becomes to get something back, and it's a that's
Yeah.
her find out that is her dream, you kinda
Yes.
know what her dream was, her big push, that
She wanted to
she's
save her
pushing.
village and go back to when it was, before the fishmen, and they were
Yeah,
destroying and wrecking everything, and speaking of the fishmen, the McKinley Belcher III, insanely great as Arlong. I mean, I
yeah,
I was he had this amazing voice, and even
yeah,
though he had, like, almost this ridiculous makeup, he so made that work. He looked so great. I loved his whole attitude, the way he phrased the line. He was
yeah,
spectacular, I thought. I
and
loved him.
and if you've seen him in interviews, it's like, that's not even I don't even see Arlong in that guy,
So
'cause
weird.
he really put this, with the
Oh,
crazy spiky nose and a lot of other kind of makeup too, and that's hard
so
to
good.
act through. We've talked
Yeah,
about that before. A lot of actors, we talked about it with the actor who's got the metal jaw and things like that,
yeah.
where you have to overcome that, and it's like
Mm.
you're acting over a fence or something, from behind a
True.
screen.
Yeah, because it's hard enough to express emotion with your normal face, say all this makeup on it, and I just loved his intonations, like, way he would say "Nami," he'd say it in this kinda like,
Yeah,
"Nami," like
yeah.
this sort of, kind of affectionate, kind of funny, like, trying to disarm you, like, in this just so great. I just thought he was amazing.
Yeah, he
So I
had
just
he
wanna
had
point that out,
cool
he was great.
inflections to the way he
Ah,
pronounced things,
so
and,
good.
like, whenever he would say the name of the town, what is the town called? Coco, it's like this,
Yeah,
like,
it was so
Coco,
good.
and he was,
And it's
very
he was
threatening too,
all the
and
Fishman makeup was amazing. I thought the Fishman makeup was great. It's so creative. Like, they probably just really took fish and then just really tried to adapt it to it wasn't even just make a generic fish, very specific species of fish. It was so good.
yeah, and
Thought that
yeah,
was
and
really good.
I'm gonna double that big shout out to the makeup crew, the special
Yes.
effects makeup crew. I mean, the regular hair and makeup crew,
Also great.
amazing as well. Just I always like to point out hair and makeup because nobody ever says, "Wow, the hair and makeup in this show is so good." But here is on display. This is like an extreme example of it, which is really great.
Yeah.
But the special effects makeup, like you were saying, is is so nuanced and
Mhm.
carefully done. And like we always say about this show, there's so much attention to detail. And you look at
Yeah.
the makeup on just I was just looking at Arlong's whatever sawfish nose,
Yeah.
and there's a couple of shots where you see the way the spikes are sort of stuck into it.
Yeah.
And just for fun, I kind of looked up some fish like that. I think it's called a sawfish or something.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and they obviously studied the shape of those things as far as how it tapers and all that. And but then again, they have to match it to the face. And what's really cool about that is when you turn sideways and you see the profile, it matches like the jawline and
Yeah.
the cheekbones and the jawline and all
Yeah.
it.
Wasn't
There's
just
just a
stuck
lot
on
of
his nose, it, like, went in, like, there's more detail.
yeah, and it worked with the shape of the actor's
Mhm.
face and all that. And like we were saying before, another aspect of special effects makeup, like what they call prosthetic makeup, which is appliances that they stick on the actor and then they paint it in to match it, is that
Mhm.
you have to build those things in a way that does let the actor's face move.
Yeah.
Like when they smile or when they change their expression, those pieces have to move appropriately in order to convey the
Mhm.
emotion of the actor. It can't just be
That's right.
this mask, that they're talking through, and when they're mad or happy, it doesn't
Yeah.
change. These
Right.
change because
Right.
they're done in a way to make them separate pieces. And I always like to call that out with special effects
Yeah, that's
makeup and
good.
things because there's a lot of
Should.
attention to that kind of detail.
And that was part of why the show, I think, looked really good is that they didn't skimp on things like that, and
Yeah,
everything looked very, very, dialed in. And, this is called The Girl with the Sawfish Tattoo, that's the name of this
right.
episode, so it relates to, her tattoo that she got when she pledged allegiance to Arlong's gang way back when she was a child and, kind of did his bidding, drawing maps, trying to help him navigate the world,
Yeah.
navigator. So
Well, it's like they don't know the world yet.
no,
What's another interesting thing about this show is that there are mysterious,
no
unexplored
maps.
parts of the world that
Yeah,
nobody knows about.
yeah,
And if you get little bits of information, I guess they hear things from different
right.
people, and Nami is a cartographer, so she's able to
Mhm.
draw these maps using this information and using older maps and using and combining all that, like aggregating all that information into these beautiful, maps on the
Yeah,
wall. So she's basically like finally drawing a map of the world, which is a
yeah,
hugely valuable thing to
yeah.
these pirates.
I
If
was
you get a
when I
map to the
saw
world,
yeah, I
then
mean,
you can find
you
the
know
One
the
Piece,
world. Exactly, One Piece and everything else everyone has. Um,
Yeah.
so I think when I saw this episode, I was really glad because I really liked Nami also, and it was
Yeah.
bothering me that she kept turning her back on them and running and stealing from them and taking the ship, taking their, the maps and I was always really disappointed that this female character was so shady. And it's like, why is
Right.
and then because, Luffy is who he is, he keeps forgiving her. No, no, she's our navigator. She's good. We got this.
He
He
knows her. He's
believes
got an
in her, right?
instinct.
And everybody else is wanting to believe in her, and she keeps saying, "I'm your friend," like to Zoro. He was being vulnerable with her, and he is not vulnerable, right? So he was
Right.
especially angry when she disappears and goes to they don't know
Yeah.
why she disappeared. So I love that because you get sort of retribution for why she was acting that way, and it also sets off this great scene that is apparently the big iconic scene from the manga, and
Yeah.
I wanted to show just a little clip of that too, and we can talk about it because it was
Well,
probably one of the best scenes. Go ahead.
to lead up to this, I think you're talking about the anime where they don't know why she left, but they changed it for the live action thing to where this is the part where I thought where Luffy really got to the point almost where there's one shot where I mean he finds out that Nami works for Arlong, and she basically tells Luffy, I'm not your on your team. I've been on Arlong's team, and I'm going with him." And finally she's wearing a sleeveless shirt, and you can see the tattoo, and she shows a tattoo. It's like, and then Arlong throws Luffy in the water. Sanji saves him, and there's this shot of Luffy on the dock there that I think is one of the most poignant shots because he's laying there. You see him just laying, and you see it in his face, like, just I've been defeated. It's over. I can't. What can I do? I lost Nami. She just told me that she's not on my team. And so then when the tattoos thing comes up, and you find out that he is still he still I think he senses he keeps saying that's not her.
Right. Um, they were aware that she ran off with Arlong, they just didn't know why, and Luffy continues to trust her. He keeps wanting
Yeah.
to trust her, no matter what. So that's why I think it was kind of funny when she appears at the village and she's trying to collect all the money, and he just sort of sees her crew standing there like,
Right.
why are you here?" Like, they're just sort of hanging out. I
Yeah.
thought that was really funny. But you still weren't quite sure why she was doing this, and we find out later,
Yeah.
but, she
Because you
gets
see
double
her
crossed.
like hitting up the people, the village people for money,
Mhm.
and she's being really ruthless about it.
Really
And there's
mean, yeah.
yeah.
And so, yeah, so you're still not sure, and you're seeing this really bad behavior from her, and it just seems really anti what the crew believes she is, and
Yeah.
you don't really understand it, and they don't understand it,
Yeah.
and the big reveal is that, she's gonna get double crossed, and she's saving money to, like we talked about, buy back her village or buy back her village
Yeah.
from Arlong for what was it, 100,000 berries or
100
some
million
insane.
berries. Yeah.
Okay, assume that's like dollars, I don't know, it
Yeah.
still
In
seems like a
today's
lot.
money, that's
It's probably 500,000,000. But,
right.
she got it in a short amount of time because she was so ruthless and she stole from everyone and she stole
But
everyone's
she's
stuff.
stealing
So,
from pirates. She's a total Robin Hood kind of a
yes.
character. She's stealing from people that kind of got their money dirty anyway. She's kind of getting
Well,
back
she
at
was also stealing from, is it Kayla?
Kara. Yeah.
Kara,
She-
what was her name?
Yeah, she's
What was her
stealing
name?
from people. Yeah, but
She's
people that
stealing
are
from rich people. It's still
super
Robin
rich
Hood.
people. Yeah.
It's still people that won't miss it,
And
or bad
Kaya
people
had
that
this
don't
big
deserve it.
house full of stuff.
Kaya.
and
I
it's
can never
like,
get her name
you
right.
know,
Yeah, so she's like, "I'll
she's
just
not
take
gonna
this
miss this little
suitcase
thing.
pillowcase full of
Yeah,
knickknacks." So she was doing a lot of that stealing, and we saw her early on too. Like I loved her gambit of her in the boat. Like she's like, "Oh, they stole everything. All I have is this treasure." And those guys are like, "Yeah,
yeah,
we'll take that." And then she
yeah.
takes their ship and finds out there's
Thanks
nothing
for
in
the
the box.
boat.
Hilarious. So she was doing a lot of that, which that's when you really liked her. But I didn't like it when she kept abandoning Luffy and the crew, and you didn't know why, like stealing the ship or just leaving or just taking this or that. Like it was confounding, and now we
Or
find out why
wanting
not.
to leave. At one point, she
Just not
almost
being
leaves, and
cool.
she talks to the guy,
Yeah.
but then she ends up when
Then she
Sanji
shows up.
I mean, when Zoro gets, beat
Yeah,
up, she doesn't leave. So
doubles
they
back.
give these little hints there that she does have
Yeah.
feelings, like, I mean, she coulda
Mhm,
just when Zoro got so injured, she coulda just said, "Bye," and left, but
mhm,
she stayed.
right.
So they were
So
giving these hints that
yeah,
she does have a heart, and that's what
yeah.
I guess that's what Luffy was picking up on.
I also like part of Luffy's arc is that he, starts out so idealistic, so
Yeah,
innocent, so optimistic, and just nothing gets to him, and in this episode, you start seeing the, like, realization that not everything's gonna be perfect or easy,
right.
and so he gets very there's that great scene, he's very serious, you've never seen him this way before, like,
Yeah,
where he finds her, she's run away, she's been double crossed, um, Arlong steals back the stuff she stole to pay him, and now she doesn't have
right.
anything to buy back her village with, even though he has that now. So just
Yeah,
totally shitty, just beyond,
yeah.
oh, by the
And the
mouse ears.
Marines are all in on it too, and
Ah,
it's just this
yeah,
ugly thing
corruption everywhere.
she
Mm,
can't fight against it. It's
nope,
like the
she just screwed.
yeah.
So she runs out in the middle of the field and she sees that tattoo and she just it was such a disturbing scene where she starts stabbing it. Like
Ugh,
she's branded basically. Like
yeah,
she's like, she belongs to Arlong. It's just awful. She's like, oh,
yeah,
I gotta get rid of it. So she starts stabbing her arm. It was so disturbing. And the
yeah,
next thing you know, she gets, her arm gets grabbed, so she'll stop stabbing it and it pans up and it's Luffy standing there looking like we have never seen him before. Like
yeah,
very looking down at like she's kneeling on the ground. He's above her towering, as much as Luffy can tower. He's standing
yeah,
over her, looking very like down at her, very mean, and you're like, oh my god, never seen Luffy like this. This is
yeah.
wild. This is really weird. So we have this little scene just to talk about it as we go. So
Nice.
yeah,
And
look at his face.
yeah, I love that sort of you said towering scene, where he's
Yeah.
sort of towering over her.
Yep. And I love that he takes his hat off to give her. Oh my god,
Yeah,
it's so sweet.
but
And the
yeah,
music gives me goosebumps. The music was so good.
and just the performances, the acting
Uh,
here
look at
is
that.
yeah,
I mean, you're just like,
Of course I will.
"He will
yeah,
help her." It's so cute. And the lighting was really good, we haven't seen a lot of night stuff like that.
Of course I will. Of course I will!
Yes. Yeah. So good. This scene, oh, I
yeah,
love
that
it.
shot.
Smoking his cigarette, looking cool as hell. Ah, so good.
Yeah,
It's
it's
one
pretty
that's like
cool. It's very
great scene.
much like the anime. It's like got that style of
Mm,
anime where they,
yeah.
the different levels of characters into the
Mhm.
background and
It's kind of a turning point in the series because you feel like now Luffy knows it isn't just about, "Hey, I'm gonna pirate and steal stuff." He realizes now he has to
yeah,
defend who and what he is. He has to defend people's honor. He has to navigate a world where people were lying to him
yeah,
and not being truthful. And so that was kind of a nice, almost like breaking point. Like at first he was kind of like, "Of course I'll help you," and then it was like you kind of see the old Luffy kind of coming back, going, "Oh, yes, I will." I just
yeah.
love that so much. That was that was one of my
Well,
favorite scenes in this.
and to me, it's like that whole thing that I keep talking about the show, how I feel like it's sort of an analog to growing up, like
Yes,
moving from childhood to
totally.
adulthood.
Mhm.
And like you said, when it starts, Luffy is so just he's like a child at the beginning. He's always eating, and he just doesn't nothing scares him. He's immortal. I can do anything, and he's got this childlike
Yeah.
vibe to him. And as like you're saying, as he experiences more and more of the reality of the world, And the types of things that he experiences in the story are analogous to things that you experience as you grow up. And those are the moments that make you grow up. Like the moment you realize that adults can lie, those kind of things are huge. And the moment that you realize that authority can sometimes be corrupt, and the moment that you realize that your friends might have, there might be a reason why your friends are being annoying or act this way or that way. And whereas when you're a child, all that stuff just sort of flows against you and you walk through it. You start to, as you grow up, you start to confront the realities of the world. And that, I really think that's what this show is about, or it feels, I mean, that's how I interpret it. And I think it's loose enough and well written enough to where you can interpret it multiple different ways. But I feel like this is where Luffy is sort of becoming a little bit more aware of how the world works.
And then we also, as a parallel track, we're learning more about why Garp is doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because he'd gone to see Zeph. He's trying to talk to Zeph. And Zeph's like, why are you so obsessed with this pirate? Like, what is your problem? And then you're starting to find out with his own flashbacks, a little bit of him flashing back to where he was taking care of Luffy, and who was always wanting to be a pirate. He was a little tiny kid, he was obsessed with Shanks and everything. And you start realizing that he cares about Luffy, and he doesn't want Luffy to become like, what was his name? Gold Roger?
Yeah.
Doesn't want Luffy to turn into Gold Roger because he actually had him executed. So he's like, if I don't change Luffy, he's going to turn into someone I'm going to have to execute someday. So I sort of was getting that feeling. There was a little bit of that going on. So when he ends up finding Luffy, when he has his own powers, apparently, because he was super strong, they have a big kind of battle, that was in this episode, right?
I think that might be in the next one.
Maybe
but this one, I think in
okay,
this
you
one,
can cut that part. So he's finding his own reasons. We don't know what they are yet.
Yeah.
But
in this one you see Garp meeting with Zeph,
right,
and
the Zeph meeting. We still don't know exactly what it is, but we have a few little informational things. But I like that, and we ultimately end up, everyone as a good penultimate episode always is. We have all of our pieces moving into place for the big final episode, and so everybody ends up on Cocoa Island, basically.
Yeah.
That's where we end up.
Thank you for using the word penultimate properly.
Oh, did I use it properly?
Yes. Some people think it means the last or the top, the ultimate, but
second to last.
Second to last.
That's right.
Exactly. Yes.
Ultimate. The last. So it seems like even Game of Thrones did that kind of formula where it was always the penultimate episode is always the best episode. The finale episode always was like a little bit of the continuation, almost like epilogue. I always felt like the penultimate was where all the shit went down. That was the best, So they did that again in this. We have the big, epic looking, scene from the manga and the anime. We have the, her backstory. We finally understand motivations now. It's like, so we also, and also just real quick, we'll just throw this in, again, Jeff Ward in there as the hilarious clown head, which they have to carry. They're now stuck with, and they're like, no, new guy has to carry the clown bag or whatever. It's like, oh my god. So I love that, and we just have him always trying to insert himself into things. Like they'll put the clown head on the table, and he's always like, hey, what's going on? I'll just put him back in the bag.
Yeah.
Shut this guy up. So that was kind of funny. So they're carrying around the clown head, which I think is kind of funny also.
But now we know where the clown body is, where his body is hanging up in Arlong Village.
That was so disturbing.
And it looks like it's in some kind of a carnival Target thing where people can throw, sandbags at it or something.
You just see this headless body and it's all kind of twitching. And it was really funny.
I thought it would be funny if every once in a while, if Buggy's head goes, ow, ow, ow. And
that would be funny.
Like what? And he's like, I don't know. And then you find out later that the people are throwing darts at him or something at his body.
That would be so.
But I guess maybe he can't feel from a distance or something.
That's right. So I guess the big finale is, Nami finally asks for help.
Yeah.
And Luffy is happy to deliver. And so now we know we're setting up the big battle at the end. And so this is why this episode was so fun. We get to learn everything we need to know about Nami. We get to know how really bad Arlong is. And the thing is, Arlong even has some good points. I mean, there's a lot of overtones of like racism and classism and all,
Yeah.
and how they're treated like slaves and everyone like, looks down on them and they don't have a fair shake. You totally get it. But then
And
again, Arlong, you're doing yourself no favors by being such a dick.
yeah, which is interesting, kind of an
Yeah.
interesting twist
He's
on that.
angry. He's angry.
But his thing is like, well, this is a watery world,
This is
It's
our
like
world.
this is a world that's based on
Right.
oceans rather than land, like our world is.
There's more ocean than land.
Yeah, it seems there is, and it just seems like this world is made up of just islands and mostly ocean. And so his people have been sort of displaced by the land people, and abused for their abilities or whatever. And you also kind of get a hint that there's an ugly history of them being enslaved and that kind of thing. So his argument is basically like, you made me into this. And
exactly. I mean,
yeah.
There isn't any fairness even in this world. So, but so a good setup for the big finale episode, which, be sure and see that episode. We have that available also. And we'll see you next time.
I know, the sad last episode coming up,
so
but there's more. There's another season at least.
Yep. Season 2 coming up. Okay. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.